Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Mark Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of Sovereign Grace churches with our executive director. Mark, each week when I introduce a podcast, I mention that we are a global family of churches, because indeed we are. And as you do from time to time, you're going to give us some updates about some things that are going on in churches, Sovereign Grace churches outside of the States.
Yes, I do. And the updates I want to give, I really want to connect them to God
Good.
and His work and His glory. Psalm 67, verses 1 and 2 say this: May God be gracious to us and
Mhm.
bless us, and make His face shine upon us,
Yes.
that your way may be known on earth, your saving power among all nations.
Mm.
And the updates I'm going to share, which is just a few, are really illustrations of how God is blessing us and how His
Mm.
face is shining upon our small family of churches as we
Mhm.
attempt to proclaim His saving power in different nations throughout the world. And
Yes.
I never thought we would be in this place. This is really,
Mm.
again, the Lord's doing, and
Yes.
it's marvelous in our eyes. And all these updates I'm about to share, He gets all the glory. He gets all
Yes,
the
he does.
credit because it's His doing, it's His leading, and that's what makes all this so joyful to report is that
Yeah.
God gets all the glory in it. So, just to remind folks, we currently have 98 full partner churches in Sovereign
Mm.
Grace, 70 in the States, 28 outside the States. Now, in addition to that, we have 41 candidate churches who are
Mm.
officially pursuing adoption into Sovereign Grace. But I'm just talking about partner churches, full partner churches that have been adopted. In the next couple of months, we will adopt or we will add two partner churches in the nation of Costa Rica.
Nice.
Iglesia La Gracia in San Jose, Costa Rica. Those are the men we ordained last year. And Juan Ho was sent off to Lebanon. And of
Mm.
course, Andres and Daniel are now leading that church. They are ordained in Sovereign Grace. So
Mm.
that's the first one. The other one is Iglesia Gracia Soberana in Jaco, Costa Rica, led by Chespi Sandoval.
Mm.
A lot of guys in Sovereign Grace know Chespi. He
Yes.
was just ordained just a month or so ago, and he will become a full partner church. So we have our first full partner churches, actually our second and third partner churches in Costa Rica, because we already have
Mm.
one in Cartago, Costa Rica. And then by this fall, we will have three full partner churches in Colombia,
Mm.
in the cities of Santa Marta, Barranquilla, and Sincelejo. All of those men have now passed their ordination exams. Jacobus has
Excellent.
already been ordained, and the other two men in Barranquilla and Sincelejo will be ordained in the coming months, and they will become a full partner church. We'll add a partner church by the fall, another one in Bolivia. We already have one in
Mm.
San Jose. This will be in Cochabamba, and that'll be another partner church in Bolivia. And then we're about to add a full partner church in London, England, which I'll speak about in just a moment. So that will take us certainly by the fall, and this number could change. I mean, it could go up. We'll have
Mm.
105 full partner churches,
Let's go.
70 in the United States and 35 outside the United States. So just some wonderful ways that God is at work, and how our polity and our statement of faith and our ordination process are strengthening the adoption process that we have in Sovereign Grace.
Those are some very encouraging updates. It is amazing to see our family grow. And that includes something that you mentioned a moment ago, a new church plant actually in London by a
Mm-hmm.
guy that is a friend to many of us that are checking out the podcast right now. Tell us about that.
Yes, Grace City Church of London is being planted by Pat Tedeschi. His wife Dana is there with him. He's got a small
Mm.
team, and they're just going to begin. They're just beginning public services. You might remember Pat went there to But the plan was to he had been interacting with another church in London. The plan was to lead that church into Sovereign Grace. The founding pastor really very much last minute changed his mind.
Right.
And so Pat, really a man of integrity, decided to let that church just do what that church wanted to do, and
Mm.
just prayed and sought counsel and thought, let's plant in another part of London. So Grace City Church is just getting started. And if you have interest in joining that church plant, by the
Mm.
way, contact Pat Tedeschi, because he has some others that are going to be joining him just to strengthen that team. I don't remember what part of London it is. I couldn't find it before we recorded this, but if I find out, we'll pass that along in a podcast at some
Mm.
point. So that's our newest church plant. We have currently 9 additional church plants happening in with this one. It'll be 10 church plants in 8 different nations currently happening
Mm.
right now in Sovereign Grace, which is actually very exciting, and another
Yeah.
way that God is blessing us and His face is shining upon us.
Wonderful. It really is remarkable and encouraging for those of us who've been following along with Pat and Dana's story to see that detour, that disappointment in the initial plan, but then really to see what appears to be wonderfully providential. This them pivoting to a church plant, and as I've talked with Pat and learned more about the church plant, you just see how God is in it, as you've
Yes.
been saying this whole time about him at work in our family of churches. So you have one more story about a church that already is part of Sovereign Grace, has been for a while, about a church that is growing.
Yes. And we've got, other stories like this, but this was one that
Yeah.
just came across in my inbox this week. And it's Calvary Gospel Church
Mm.
in the Andhra Pradesh state of India, led by
Mm.
JP. He was ordained a few years ago. They've been a
Right.
full partner church, as you mentioned, Ben, and they are in the town that they're in. There in Andhra Pradesh, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, is primarily Hindu, and so they've been faithfully sharing the gospel. And it's hard for them
Mm.
to get a public meeting space in a Hindu community.
Mm.
So what JP and his wife did is they built another level on top of their house, a big room where the church
Yeah.
meets on Sunday, and they filled that thing up. People
Mm.
are coming to Christ, and so they decided we need to just build an extension on this room because I mean I've seen before and after pictures in my inbox this week.
Mm.
People were just jammed together and the room was
Mm.
full. And so there's some wonderful stories coming out of that church where JP's wife, for example, sold her family's jewelry to
Mm.
give to this building project. There were other members of that church who gave a whole month's salary. They took their entire
Mm.
month's salary and gave it to this fund to be able to extend the building. And then we were able, as a denomination, to give funds from our Asia Pacific Fund to just add more. And that extension is built and now finished. And the after picture,
Mm.
you look at this room, you can see where the extension is, and the place is full again. Now people have got a little bit more room. They're not
Mm.
quite jammed together, but I'm looking at this picture and thinking, how much longer is that room going to be able to hold
Wow.
everybody that's there? And the reason that this is significant is a couple of reasons. Again, it's in a Hindu community, and so
Mm.
they have trouble getting like a loan from a bank, to put it that way, in the States, like we'd be able to here in the States, because they're a Christian organization, and yet they find a way to get it done through sacrificial generosity. So that's just
Mm.
one story, but it demonstrates the power of the gospel in a
Yes.
Hindu community. People are being reached with the good news of Christ. They're born again, and now they're being discipled in Christ.
Mm.
And so if you think of it, pray for JP, pray for the
Yes.
members of Calvary Gospel Church as they continue to reach out with the good news of Jesus Christ, because they are declaring the saving power of
Mm.
God in their nation. And as a part of Sovereign Grace, we're joining them in that as we declare the saving power of God to all the nations.
Yes. Those who've been following along in the podcast for a number of years, over the last 6 years we've been doing it, may recall back a few years ago, you had an update with JP and his church where they were having doors were opening in the Hindu community around them as they
Yeah.
sought to minister to their neighbors and share the gospel. So fast forward a couple years and now the church is bursting at the seams. Man, it is so encouraging to trace the hand of God and His sovereign grace working in our family of churches. And so, yeah, thanks for the updates. We are grateful that our story is one of God being glorified. It's not a story of us being impressive. It's a
No.
story of God at work. And so, like you mentioned at the beginning, He is being glorified, and we couldn't be more grateful in sovereign grace. So, thank you for the updates, Mark. Thank you for checking out the podcast, everybody, and we'll see you here next week, Lord willing. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.